Go back, okay? It was just the king, it wasn't the system. Because after 1776, when we won, we did the Articles of Confederation. And it was weak. It didn't work. These brilliant men that couldn't come up with buttons, deodorant, or pockets also failed to come up with a good system. The Articles of Confederation. Let me show you what they came up with in 1791. We have 3 people here. Where's the first one? All right. Good. What's your name? Come on. Mike represents Anna. He's like, whatever's in the fridge, I'm going. I'm with you. If it wasn't for my wife, I'd be 3 times this size. I know my wife's like, who is representing the king? We have... I Henry. Just like him, sneaking up on him. What's your name? Brian. Okay. Brian represents, I have you over here. Stand right here. Brian represents total government. That was the king. Total government. He was, ooh, excuse me, those aren't pockets. You know, these guys are smarter than I thought. He represents the king. Total government. Anarchy. No government whatsoever. None. And there are people that are in our own communities that want anarchy. They want no government. No, Bill Ayers wants government. It just is over here and looks a little like Bill Ayers. Then, they had an idea. They knew they were over here with the king. They didn't want to be here. And then, 1776, we had our freedom. And they had the Articles of Confederation. It was too close over here, so it was chaos. And so, when they were trying to devise sweet, sweet freedom, sweet freedom. Originally, freedom, they thought, we need to get freedom as close to this as possible, not too close, far enough away from this guy. So they put freedom in 1777 here, and it didn't work. It didn't work. And here's why. Because, like any good man, he had his meat paws all over. And so, see what I mean? It just happens. It's a guy thing. So it didn't work. Freedom started sliding into anarchy. And the states started yelling at each other. And so, 1791, they get together, and in fact, all of the founders got together and asked George Washington, come to Philadelphia. I lived in Philadelphia. No one ever wants to go to Philadelphia. Even back then, George Washington's like, that's a sinkhole. Oh, it is. So, they asked George Washington, come to Philadelphia, our country is dissolving. The Articles of Confederation don't work. And you are the only man. You are the indispensable man. He was indispensable because everybody trusted him. I look for that man now. I've yet to find him. Somebody that can bridge the gap between everyone. And he said, have I not done enough? When George Washington was 16 years old, he was out surveying. He wanted to be in King's Navy. He couldn't, so he went and served his country that he loved, England, by surveying. And he made friends with Indians and was known as a great man. A great man. Honest, full of integrity. But by the time the Revolutionary War was over, he was tired. You know, we read about Valley Forge. That wasn't one winter. That wasn't every winter. When I worked in Philadelphia, I lived right outside of Valley Forge. It's not that far away. It's a suburb. Congress was in Philadelphia. We read about the founders of our country and the patriots that were in Valley Forge, and they didn't have shoes. That's not the half of it. They didn't have pants. Some of them didn't have shirts. Martha Washington would come every year and she would bring as much material as she could and she would sew them pants. And Congress sat there and did nothing. Did nothing. George Washington would ride in and say, "Please, help me." He held this country together and this army together with bubble gum and shoestrings. And when it was all over, they'd come to him and say, "You've got to serve your country. It's about to fall apart. We need you." He looked at them and said, "I'm a farmer. All I want to do is farm. Have I not done enough?" He showed up. And he said, and he walked into the chamber, "Jack, I ask you to be honorable. I ask you to do the right thing. And we're going to have tough discussions. And I ask that if you make notes, you pick up your notes. You share them with no one other than in this body. Because we have to have honest conversations and honest arguments now. But if it gets out into the press, it will be used against this person or this person." Be honorable. Do the right thing. Hot summer in Philadelphia. And one day, they adjourned. Come back an hour later. Somebody left a note on the desk. When the session was recalled, George Washington walked in, picked up the note that he had put in his pocket, and walked up to the member of Congress and handed him his note. No one said a word.